Alrighty folks, welcome back to day 2 of the Blind 75 Leetcode problems. You can find today's problem in neetcode.io/practice valid anagram. You can also find it on Leetcode 242.validanagram. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here's the problem statement. Given two strings s and t, return true if t is an anagram of s, and return false if it is not. An anagram is a word or phrase formed by rearranging the letters of a different word or phrase, typically using all the original letters exactly one time. So in s and t here in example 1, this is true because every single letter is matched up to the string in t. And every single letter in the string of s and t here in example 2, they are not. So I already have some notes written down here. The first thing that we're going to check for is if a string is different lengths, if the string lengths are different, then we're going to return false. Because there's no way that a string with a different length of another string can be an anagram, right? That's just not possible. The second thing that we're wanting to do is we're wanting to keep track of each letter in a string. And the best way to do that is using a map, right? So I have right here as our next note to keep track of each letter using a map. So we're going to create a map and to keep track of each letter. The next thing that we're wanting to do is we're wanting to check s in the map. If the letter doesn't exist in the map yet, we're going to add the letter to the map and we're going to set it equal to 1. If it does exist in the map, we're going to add 1 to it. Now next up, it's a little bit more confusing, but we want to check t against the map. We want to check the letters in t against the map, and we want to make sure that each letter is either 0 and it's not either greater or less than. Because if it is, then we want to just make sure that everything lines up to 0. If it's less than 0, it means that we don't have an anagram. Right? You can't have more letters in t, so let's say t has A, and letter in s has AA, well that just can't be the case, right? And if we do have already 0 in the letter case in the map, then we're going to return false. All right, let's go ahead and code this out. And just so you know, there are two ways to do this problem. I'm going to show you the second way after we get done here as well. So if s.length does not equal t.length, we're going to return false. Next up, we're going to create a map and we're going to set it equal to an empty object. And then, like I said before, we're going to go ahead and loop through s. I is equal to 0. We're going to start at the beginning of s, and then we're going to go all the way to the end of s. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and create another variable here called letter, and that is going to equal s of I, right? We're going to iterate through the string, and we're going to get each letter in the string. And here we're going to create the if statement. So if the map does not contain the letter yet, we're going to set it equal to 1. Map of letter equal to 1. If it does exist, we're going to add to it. And this is going to be shorthand map of letter plus plus. That just means we're adding 1 to the already value that we have in the map for that letter. Okay, so we've ticked these off, and I always like to check my map to make sure that I got the right things. So let's go ahead and run this, and we should have all of our letters with a value. Okay, perfect. Here you go. So we have anagram. We have 3 A's in the word anagram. We have 1 N, 1 G, 1 R, and 1 M. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to string T. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and code out our for loop, and we're going to set this equal to T this time, T.length, and I++, and we're going to check the letters equal to T of I. And what this is going to do is this is going to give us all of the letters in T. And like I said before, we want to check that the letter exists, and we want to make sure that it's greater than 0. And if it is, we're going to subtract that letter. So if map of letter and map of letter is greater than 0, we're going to subtract it, right? We don't want to subtract from 0 because that means that T has more letters of the same letter than S does. So if that's the case, we want to return false. And if we get through this whole thing without ever returning false, we're going to return true. Excuse me. Let me type this out. We're going to return true. Let's go ahead and run this and check our statement. Subtract this. Okay, so both of our cases are looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. And yeah, we're looking pretty good here, pretty solid. So let me go ahead and erase most of this, actually all of it, and we're going to jump into the other way to do this problem. So the next way to do this problem is we're going to set up a new S. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort both of the strings and we're going to compare them to each other once they're both sorted. Okay, so let's go ahead and do S dot split. And then we're going to do dot sort. And then we're going to do dot join. And then we're also going to do the same thing with new T. So T dot split, dot sort, dot join. Okay, looking good so far. Let's go ahead and console log these out. So let's console log out S, new S, and let's console log out new T. Okay, perfect. So we have this one here and this one here, and that looks the same. And this one does not look the same. So if it is the same, then we want to go ahead and return true. If new of S is equal to new of T, return true. Otherwise, return false. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and run that. And we can also do a ternary. So let's go ahead and do the ternary style. So return new of S equal to new of T. And we're going to return true if that is true, and we're going to return false if that is false. Let's go ahead and submit that. And that's it. That is a valid anagram. This one is going to be helpful for group anagrams, which is a medium problem. We won't be doing that one today, but just so you know, that will be helpful in that problem. It's also good to know the longer form, just in case you get asked in an interview of, hey, maybe there's a way to do it with less code. This is obviously less than the other bunch of lines that we were writing earlier. So just keep both in mind when you're trying to do this in an interview. Alrighty guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week.